to TAFE for a week for brick and block laying training. I was freaking out thinking I was really late, and I got up here and my neighbour is just strolling to the station, so I must be right.
Next up, Blacktown, followed by Parramatta.
It's roughly a kilometre, bit under, from Granville Station to the TAFE. I've never walked it before, never been there before. Just following my Google Maps. Currently coming past Granville Boys High School, which was the school that I went for my very first head teacher job at. Didn't get it, obviously, but it was a good experience, good interview experience. I was number 2, so if the other person had decided not to take it, I would have been working here instead of where I'm working now, if I was still here. That was a long time ago, but it said roughly a 12-minute walk. I've got to be there by 8, and the train got in with only about 12 minutes left to get there. Oh. So this here is the student car park if I wanted to drive down. I've looked up and saw that there was possibly a car park here. So obviously if I came down at this time, I'd definitely get parking. But I'll see how today is. The trip on the train was pretty good. The train trip was free, and apparently it's free all week. So that's a bonus. I saw rail staff explaining to people at Granville that it was free all week. There's people looking around confused because the gates weren't working and stuff. I just got to get my map out now and figure out where this bricklaying building is. I think I found it. So that was day 1 of 5. Today was kind of an introduction. Physical activities that we had to do as part of the competency, you know, being able to correctly lift and push a wheelbarrow and doing turns. And we started with an empty wheelbarrow, then we went to one with full of mortar, and then we did the pallet jacks. And I've used pallet jacks before from when I was a kid and working in Franklin's as a shelf stacker and everything like that. But our pallet jacks were wide for regular pallets, and these pallet jacks for the bricks are really narrow because the brick pallets are narrow. There's only like 6 inches in between the two arms, and we had to jack up a pallet of bricks and maneuver those around and just all that sort of thing. And then we started doing some practice with mortar. The mortar used at TAFE does not contain cement. They just do a sand and lime mixture. It kind of behaves the same as mortar. It starts to go hard like mortar when you're using it, so you got to keep it plastic enough, but it doesn't fully set. And then you can clean off the bricks and restack them, and they can be used again. And while we were there, there was like some first year TAFE students, and they looked pretty good. It took a little bit of practice to try and get the mortar use proper, because even when I did my block wall, I was never really happy with the way I did my mortar. And then the way he showed, if you're using on Besser blocks, was a lot better than what I saw for when I was researching it. Playing around with that, trying to get the trowel right, being able to slap the mud down and shape the mud for putting a brick on, and then buttering a brick for going up against another one. And then we had to lay out a wall and practice that, because on Friday apparently we have to do an assessment on that. I really wanted to get some video of doing all of that practice, but I was too intent, too focused on actually getting the practice done. So all I got was photos, those photos that you saw of the finished wall and some of my practice. Did a wall. The assessment apparently is 6 rows high. We only did 3 in the practice today, but we also did some jointing, and that was good. Watching the tutor, who has been bricklaying for a bit over 20 years, absolute artisan. The way that he handled the trowel and the mud, it looked like an artist with like an oil paint palette knife. Just the way he looked like he was doing it so gently, and it was so spot on. We're all just sitting there and going, definitely watching a master at work. He said he hadn't been teaching long and is still actually working as a bricklayer part-time. A word of advice, if you're going to become a brickie, don't do it if you don't like getting dirty. The mortar splashing created this, so I just started nailing down. Hi, Batman. Hey. How you doing? Was you a good boy? Was you a good boy? Hey? You a good boy today? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, good boy. You want to have a look? Poor little bugger. I took him to the vet, and they said he's torn his cruciate ligament in his right knee, which is why he doesn't walk so good. And it's likely to need surgery, but he needs to get some weight off to do that, and we're ordering a different diet food for him, because he needs to lose weight, because that's not helping the situation. He had a limp when we got him, and we think it's just gotten worse because of the way he goes like crazy, or used to go like crazy after balls. And he did that when we first met him, He'll just tear across anything and everything without thinking about it. We think one or more of the runs down the hill here in the backyard just made the injury worse. And with him putting on weight, it's made it harder for him. More of a nip in the air today. I should have grabbed a beanie. Yet again, my timing in the morning, instead of watching time, yep, good, and then I realised that I haven't got much time to get to the station. I got here in time, I've just sat down, and then I heard a message come over saying that the train is delayed by 20 minutes. It's still at another station right up the mountain. After how I felt yesterday, I don't feel like driving. Mind a beanie though. That's better. Oh my God, I had a wood. Yeah, I've decided that a 20-minute delay is just a little bit too much. If I drive, I'll be there in a little over an hour, which means I'll be early, because yesterday I only got there just on time. Parking at the tafe is free. So I'm not going to enjoy the traffic morning and afternoon, but I think it's the best decision. I think I've made the right decision in driving down, even though I sort of waited around 10 minutes before making that decision. The train app said I would get to Granville Station by about 8:20, which means I wouldn't get to the TAFE until after 8:30. We're supposed to be there at 8 sharp. Driving down, even with some heavy traffic that it said there was before we got down to Granville, said that I should get there at about 22:08, and that's at the TAFE. The tightwad in me is a little bit bummed out that I can't catch a free train today, and I'm going to have to pay for the fuel. Parking's free. Like, I usually get tired in the afternoon driving just from work, so driving all the way from Granville, and after a heavier day of work than what I would normally do at work, I think we'll just have to see, I guess. If train travel was the only way for me to get there, then I would have just had to have messaged the teacher and say, look, the train's been delayed by 20 minutes, so I'm going to be late. And he probably would have been okay with it. But when I had the capacity to be able to walk off the train platform, get in my car and drive down there and be there before time, I felt like it would have been a little arrogant of me to just say I had to catch the train. The train in this case is a convenience. And I was talking with him yesterday because they were asking about where I live and how I got there and that sort of thing, and we all sort of agreed, yeah, if you can catch the train and just relax morning and afternoon, why wouldn't you? And I've always said, like, if I worked close to the train station, like Granville Boys High School, if I had gotten the job there that I'd gone for, and I was second in line, if I had got that job and was still there, by all means, I would probably catch the train to work every day, because you could get so much work done on the train in a 1 hour trip every day. It's more than an hour. And if you didn't want to work, you could actually relax. I feel a little bit stiff this morning. Not as... I think I held up a lot better than I was expecting. I did tell the tutor about the fact that I'd had spinal surgery on my neck back in July, and my only concern was a lot of heavy lifting. The kind of actions you're doing aren't super heavy. Like lifting a brick isn't hard. Lifting a lot of bricks just fatigues you. It burns your forearms because it's your fingers that are doing a lot of the work. My right hand and forearm were getting a little bit fatigued at one point just because they're the ones holding the trowel and doing a lot of that repetitious work. Your legs and your back start to burn from bending over, and hence I started crouching on my knees when I was down at the wall. My neck feels tighter than it did yesterday morning. I've massaged it a little bit just to try and loosen without being too intense with the massage. Shoulder movements and that sort of stuff, these are getting worked. It's interesting seeing the traffic this early in the morning. I wouldn't have left home for like another 25 minutes. And you kind of get waves of traffic that come down the mountains for the different commuting times. Like really early you might get the people who have to go all the way into the city and be there early or further. And around the time that I travel down, give or take 10 minutes can make the difference between the trip taking 45-50 minutes or an hour. So you got, because it might be heavier, which makes it slower. Right now I'm onto the freeway heading past Penrith. The traffic in general is at the speed limit. When I'm driving down, there seems to be, except for when you're in heavier traffic, but you'll seem to see a few more people speeding, I guess because they're in that last minute panic to get to work. But along here, 110, the truck's cruising at 110, the rest of the traffic is just cruising along at 110. It doesn't feel like a stressful commute just yet. Slow traffic ahead. This must be the heavy section that it was saying on the freeway. Because I can tell you what, we're not doing 80. Oh, made it. In the car park. Bricklaying building right there. 15 minutes to go. 7:45. So even with the slow traffic, it wasn't too bad, really. At least I know if I get on the train station each day and they say the train's going to be late, I'll just drive in. But I think if the train's available, I'm going to train, because that is much more. I'm going to need it, I think, during the week.
Turn the water on. You only want enough water to keep the dust down. Try that one, yeah? Perfect.
Day 3. Hopefully no issues with the train because I don't want to drive again. And definitely feeling it today. Bit of aches and pains. Well, this is something that hasn't happened for quite a while. I get very tired in the afternoon. That's something that's happened quite often. Fell asleep on the train just as it was coming up the mountain. Missed my stop. Got off at the next station that came after when I woke up. And I'm just waiting on that platform for the next train that goes back down the mountain to get back to my station where the truck is parked. It's been one of those afternoons. Because when I was down at Granville, I sort of got to Granville, got on the first train from Granville to Parramatta, got off the train at Parramatta, down the stairs, through the concourse, up the stairs to the platform that my train was on, and it had just taken off. So that really wasn't a connecting train. You gotta laugh. It's a good thing it's daylight saving and the sun's nice. But apparently the next train down isn't that far away. So I just thought I'd wait. Yeah, I haven't made the best decisions the last couple of days. Like Tuesday, with the train being so late and me driving in, was the right decision to get there on time. I hated being in the traffic coming back, and I think that stuck in my head. Yesterday, fell asleep on the train, woke up as we were pulling away from my station. So I had to get off at the next one, wait for the next train coming down, which was 20 minutes or something. And that was after missing the train down in Parramatta because they didn't connect up. Today, pulling up at the station, train was just pulling in. There was no way I was going to get out of the car and down onto the platform and into the train. So I drove down the mountain until I could get to a train station where it was close to the highway, so it wasn't like a hard time trying to find parking. And I got down there and got onto the train this morning. But we have a staff dinner tonight rather than doing it at the end of the year, at the very end, because we have a lot of staff leaving, and one of them is my 2IC who got a head teacher job, and so they're going to do all the farewells and that sort of stuff tonight. I'd completely forgotten about it until last night when I was checking emails, because I'm doing TAFE. Just completely forgot. I should have driven into the city and had a change of clothes in the car, but instead, because there was that thing of I don't want to drive down into the city, and even though Granville's not that far into the city, I opted to just drive down and get onto the train further down. Now, just missed the train at Granville after leaving TAFE. As I was walking down the stairs, the door was shut and it took off. Waited for the next one, which was 11 minutes later. When I got to Parramatta, the mountain train was in 15 minutes. So that wasn't bad. I had to just make sure that I didn't fall asleep before that station, which is my regular station. Well, I woke up the station after that one as it was pulling in. Jumped up, got off the train, checked the app. The next train coming down the mountain would be at that train station in a minute's time. So I just waited, got on the train, came back down to where I had the car parked, got off the train, got in the car, drove back home, got myself changed, which is what I want to do because I didn't want to go to the dinner in concreting, bricklaying gear. I should have just had that in the car and driven down. As it is, I'm going to be a little bit late now, and it also meant that I was like bolting into the house, getting myself changed and leaving straight away, which it would have been better if I'd had gear in my car and driven to TAFE, but it would have been a worry because I was feeling really tired at TAFE just after lunch. Woke up a bit, oh my god. Woke up a bit in the last session when we were doing all the bricklaying practice again, and then had the rushed walk to the station. Tomorrow is assessment day, and they were saying that if you got the assessment done and marked off, you might get away earlier. Last day of TAFE. Didn't want to take any chances. Still not that early. That's what just making it down here with a couple of minutes to spare. But better than yesterday. Yesterday was such a mess in terms of travel and commute. Ridiculous. only thing we've got to do today is the assessment. It's just coming up to 10. The assessment is 7 rows of bricks, 1200 wide. I think I'm probably the slowest in the group today, because they said once you finish the assessment and it's marked, you can go. But he said, you know, don't rush it, take your time and make sure it's right, because there's only a 3mm tolerance in terms of length and plumb. It's got to be 1200 long, and so I'm checking each row and making sure they're plumb and the length is right. Just want to get it right. So I've got 4 rows so far, 3 to go, and we haven't even been going for 2 hours. Course done. Built the wall 1200 by 600, which is 7 courses high. Had a 3mm tolerance, and when he was checking the plumb, it looked like it was all good. I took my time. He had to do a raked finish on one side, profile finish on the other side. They both look nice. The raked one, it's the first time we did that. It's a part of the assessment. It's all done, all competent. We get the certificates later through tafe. Excellent experience. The back and the neck coming out really well. That was my main concern. I'm there. Weekend.
Keep a firm hold of your children while on the platform.
All done, fellas. Got no more, sorry.
And then Parramatta. The next train to arrive on platform 1 goes to Central. First stop, Strathfield, and then Central. The train on platform 2.